myself, I've been working in sports for the past, I want to say 7 years, since 2013. I started working in pro boxing. And with that, I did like a lot of medical work. I like did medical and then licensing for the New York State Boxing Commission. So my experience there with like boxers, I've seen like, pro athletes from then. And then I jumped into football because I had a passion and really wanted to see guys grow. I was tired of seeing guys go bankrupt. Um, so what would differentiate us is that we have experience.
One of the things that I am blessed to have this platform is to be able to feature people who are doing things because they genuinely care. Coming up on today's episode, a bonus episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings, I have on NFL agents Michael Desane and Ryan Williams-Jenkins. They are the co-founders of Desane Sports and Entertainment Agency. They come on to discuss the importance of being a sports agent, in this particular case, the NFL, and actually caring about your client. They give tips for people who are looking to get into that field, as well as we touched on the importance of athletes attending HBCUs. So ladies and gentlemen, here's my interview with Michael and Ryan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the line today, I have two special guests. They are the founders of Desane Sports and Entertainment, and that is the one and only Michael Desane and Ryan Williams-Jenkins. How y'all doing today?
Great, man. Great. I'm doing very well. You?
I'm good. I'm happy that you guys are on here. Before we get into the interview, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, really two pandemics. So how are y'all feeling? How are y'all doing mentally throughout all of this?
So I'm doing pretty well. I've just been taking it day by day. This pandemic has been pretty rough, but it's just trying to find ways to stay productive, trying to find ways to stay positive. And I feel like during this time is when you could really, use the time useful. So there's like a lot that's been going on besides the pandemic, but just as Black culture, being a Black man, seeing what's going on throughout the world has been pretty rough, and it's been mentally draining. But I've just been working to find different ways to stay positive. So whether that's reading the Bible, whether that's riding my bike, or just doing different things to like keep me busy, that has helped. And then also this time has also helped me be like, closer to family. So spending more time with my mother, talking to my family members, just cherishing the moment and trying to find positivity through times that can be dark.
Yeah, how about you, Ryan?
Yeah, so the pandemic has been very eye-opening. I think it showed us a lot of different things about ourselves, and it's definitely opened up my eyes to the importance of family, the importance of being financially literate, understanding how to use your money. Definitely also has opened our eyes to what our country really cares about. So I think this time has just been, one of reflection, and one where, for me personally, I've really taken time to figure out, hey, how can I use this time to make an impact? How can I use this time to make a difference in other people's lives? And me and Mike talk all the time about, how can we differentiate ourselves when we're working with athletes? And I think this time has given us the ability to really figure out what's next and figure out a way ahead in sports, because we see there's a lot of friction, a lot of downtime for players, and they don't know quite what to do. So I think this time has really given us more space and time to figure out what's next for Divine Sports and how we plan to impact athletes. So it's been good.
All right, all right. So, Divine Sports, when did you guys create this, and what was the moment when you decided that this is what you guys wanted to do as far as being NFL agents?
Um, so I've been licensed for the past since 2017. So I finished about 3 years, going on my fourth year. So I've been licensed for a while, and this thought and idea has been flowing for years. But it's just something that you need the right timing, and you need the right people to work with. So me and Ryan, we've been building for the past couple of years. And he was working with it's called Giants um, for some time, and it just wasn't the right time. But then with the pandemic going on, and with different crises going on, we kind of seen where this would be needed. So we've seen that, if the time has ever been right, that would be now. um, and we pretty much realized that there's lots of companies that's there, but these Black men, that they need mentors, that they need guidance, and they need people that can relate to them. So we have two different backgrounds. He has a military background. I have a sports background, but we both have like marketing backgrounds. But things that are similar with us is that we both care about people. And when speaking with him, when our values and then beliefs are the same, we knew that something special can be created. So so as far as the opportunity, we kind of seen it when kind of like when our positions had opened up, and then from there we kind of went like moving from there. Um,
Awesome. Ryan, anything to add?
I knew from the day, I played college ball, and after playing, I had a dream like every other college player. I want to go to the NFL. So I had my own agent, and he represented me very poorly. And I knew at that moment that I want to be the person that represents guys the best, as the best way we can across the board at every level. And I actually stayed around and did player development for my college team for a year, and then went on to do player development with the Seahawks and the Giants. And that time spent with both organizations and in college really made me understand and just reaffirmed how much I love developing athletes and how much I love working with athletes. And when I met Mike, because Mike is a licensed agent, we just meshed right away because he wants to represent guys. I want to help guys from financially, as leaders, as husbands, on all aspects. So to answer your question, we knew right away that this was going to happen. It was just a matter of time.
Well, I like the partnership. Like you said, you Mike focusing on the agent work and you focusing on the development work. How hard, if you don't mind me asking, is it for you to really gain that trust with athletes? Especially coming out of college, they're going to have tens or hundreds of agents coming at them. How do you guys stand out?
Yeah, so I'll start this one. I think trust just comes when you're a genuine person. So first and foremost, we are genuine people. Like, we just want to be transparent. We want to help however we can, and we want to make a difference in each player's lives. I think that's at the baseline of what we do. So when it comes to us just being good people, first and foremost, and caring about people, that's what we have. And that's why me and Mike decided to go in a partnership, because we understand, like, hey, like you understand what it is to be a good person. I understand what it is to be a good person. Now let's take that and make that the foundation of this agency. So first and foremost, that's at our foundation. But beyond that, I think what makes it appealing is that I have an understanding, because I've been a Marine Corps officer, so I understand what it is to lead people. I've been to combat. I understand what it is to lead people in some of the most difficult times, right? So now we take that leadership experience and change and transfer it to athletes. How do we get the most out of our athletes? How do we get the most out of the players so that they're looked at as more than athletes, so that they're benefiting from all aspects of their life? I think that has been one of the approaches that we've used. And I think that's what's going to help differentiate us, kind of to answer your question from a player development aspect.
Mike?
Yeah, Ryan, he pretty much said it, spot on. And then if I would add to that I would say, myself, I've been working in sports for the past, I want to say 7 years, since 2013. I started working in pro boxing. And with that, I did a lot of medical work. I did medical and then licensing for the New York State Boxing Commission. So my experience there with boxers, I've seen pro athletes from then, and then I jumped into football because I had a passion and really wanted to see guys grow. I was tired of seeing guys go bankrupt. So what would differentiate us is that we have experience. So I've been doing this, for the past 7 years, whether it's with boxers or with football players. And then within my 3 years of being a sports, as being a sports agent, I've represented players, whether they were 4th round picks, 5th round, 6th, 7th round guys, as well as guys who went undrafted. So I understand what it takes to help guys get to the next level, and I get the type of service that they need. So we have the experience as well as the care, because sometimes the care is not there, and I think that's what's really needed. People who care for their players and genuinely care. And I would say that that's more than surface level. That's more than, as far as a contract for them, or as far as them making it pro, but caring about them as a person. You want to care about their family. You want to care about what they're doing off the field as well as on. So I think with what we both have to bring to the table, that we could really help guys and have a huge and then become a huge factor for their lives.
All right. One of the things, unfortunately, that we mentioned earlier about dealing with the pandemics, especially COVID-19, how has that altered how you guys do your job and approach potential clients in the midst of this, as well as take care of your current clients, whether it's trying to get them signed, helping them with workouts? How has the pandemic impacted your job?
So what I would say is that one thing that you should know is that nothing is never going to be the same. So this I considered a unique chance for us to work differently. So this pretty much challenged us. So usually I will go and visit guys in May and June. That's when you're going to go visit guys. You're going to go talk to their families and sit down with them. So now we are taking more Zoom calls. We are doing things a little bit different, but it's good. I think there's always a way to find positive through something that's not always the same. So with that, with that, I'm not always that I can't see guys the way I normally would, and that's just being safe. You want to definitely go practice social distancing. So you can't go and then visit guys. You don't want to go and visit them, whether it's school or their home. but you'll talk to them virtually. And I think with this, you get a chance to bond with them. You know, it might be through FaceTime, it might be through Zoom, but you get a chance to get more of a feel. And then I would say some of these things were probably not used as much. Um, so let's say previously as they are now. And I think that this could be a huge benefit going forward, being able to jump on Zoom with guys and being able to have that as the norm.
Right. Anything you like to add to that, Ryan?
Yeah, I think something that a lot of agencies, or I'm just sure a lot of businesses deal with their operating expenses. I think right now during the pandemic, our operating expenses they're different because we're not having to get on a plane, we're not having to travel as much. So from a business perspective, I mean that could be a win, right? You're able to save in some ways, and at the end of the day, we always talk about our athletes that we represent are their own business entities. So us having that mindset, as business people, like we could take a positive away from every situation. And for us, not having to dish out those operating expenses is a positive from a business standpoint. I would say from a recruiting standpoint or a personal standpoint, something that we're definitely having to overcome is a lot of what Mike said. But in addition, I think it's that true one-on-one bond. Because when you talk to people, a lot of people are able to read through, when someone's lying to them just based on body language, based on how their posture is, a lot of things like that you can't see through a Zoom call, right? People could have a whole script up just reading off a script, and they're not genuine because it's Zoom. So I think that's one thing that we're not able to actually use to our benefit right now, 100%, because I think the in-person interaction is what makes Divine Sports different than any other sports agency. Because when you actually get an opportunity to sit down and talk with us and understand our philosophy, our mindset, our values and beliefs, why we feel so strongly about representing players. Like when you sit across the table from us, I think that's what makes the difference, because you feel our passion. You feel how much we care. You understand the level and the years of experience and how much time we put into it. So I would say that's something that we could be missing during this time. But for the most part, man, we're going to keep pressing on and remaining perseverant, keeping our perseverance during this time, just because we have to, right? Because we gotta set the example for our clients, which we like to call our players. So
now I was told that you guys have a virtual launch party coming up for Divine Sports. What can people expect from that?
I think that they could expect lots of fun. So it's something that right now, because of what's going on, we had to be creative, which is not bad. So we decided to do something different. I don't think that this has ever been done before when it comes to this field. So we want to have different type of people on. So whether it's somebody from branding, somebody that covers marketing, somebody that covers finance, former players. And what we want to give is we want people to have a chance to hear and see the sports business side. So whether that's players, whether that's the person who's looking to become an agent, or whether that's somebody who's looking to jump to the business on the finance side or the branding side. We want to give out as much as possible just to help the next person coming up. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a week long, and we're going to be speaking to professionals in different fields with different backgrounds, and they're going to be really and they're going to be able to pour out knowledge and drop some good gems that people would not most likely hear. These are some of the things that you would hear when you sign up for a panel or when you go to a conference. And we want to kind of give out that free game,
Wow.
because because the whole thing for me is if I can help them be like next person coming up, then I feel like I've like done my job. So I don't think that my job or duty stops here.
Mhm.
I still have to give back. And, you know, that's something that me and Ryan talked about. And that's why we connected. We like love to like give back and to help people. So besides our clients and besides our like players, we want to help the next person coming up. So if there's somebody that's there who could take something from that, then that's a positive for us. Then that's a win for me. As long as one person could tap into that live and, you know, fill themselves up, then that's good for me. Um,
Yeah, and I definitely agree. It's going to be a lot of fun on the live. And I think one thing Mike is talking about is this model that we both live by, and it's to lift as you climb. One thing you'll see when you actually tune into the live is you'll get to see the different people that we know. But more importantly, the information that we're putting out there is going to be beneficial for those that just haven't been around the sports business, don't really know. When we say lift as you climb, it means that we're planting seeds all over the place. So what that means for our players is we're able to network, we're able to navigate spaces that other people may not go to, right?
Mhm.
And our whole objective is to be able to go. If we need a marketing person, we have 10 marketing people, right?
Yep.
If we need a finance person, we have a lot of finance people. But the reason for that is because we go out, we meet these people, we vet these people, and then we help them grow and they help us grow. And in turn, our players will benefit because they have a large network from which they can pull information and continue to grow from a business standpoint. So Mike and I definitely believe in the whole lifting as you climb, and that's what you're going to get when you tune into our live session on our launch. So.
Yeah, one of the things that one of the biggest takeaways that I've taken from this conversation is that you genuinely love to give back and you genuinely care. Obviously, you hear horror stories as well as great stories about agents in sports, even in broadcasting. I'm part of the National Association of Black Journalists, and they had a session called when you know you need an agent. For a lot of people who are in their first market or their second market, they're not making as much money, so they're just trying to get their foot in the door. But as they climb up, they want to be on TV. For instance, example, David Aldridge from The Athletic, he was there and he was talking about being on NBA 2K. So, they were just talking about when needing agents, and there was an agent there who was kind of doing some recruiting, but I did not hear him say the words care as much as I've heard you two say it in this conversation. And it's no shot at him, I mean, I understand it's a business, but I can see this is something that you two genuinely love doing. One of the things, there's a lot of conversation, especially during the racial pandemic, is HBCUs and African-American athletes kind of going to the HBCUs and changing the game. Can you guys talk about that and the importance that you think as far as African-American athletes going to HBCUs?
yeah, so like that so I can speak on that. So I went to a HBCU, Delaware State University, um, and I think that that's really, really big. So I see Mikey. He's a basketball player, and he talked about that. And I believe there's a gentleman that went to Howard as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not remembering his name right now, but I think that that's huge. Just going there and seeing how those schools, seeing so like pretty much me going there myself, and what I benefited from going there, the bonds that were built, the like relationships that were forged were really great. So I think if players were to go there, then that would be very beneficial, because if you trace back years ago, that's where players went, because we didn't have the choice to go to these big conference or PWIs, which is predominantly white institutions. So we were forced to go there. So I think that it's important for players to go there, and I get that they would not be too sure if they want to go because of the resources that might not be there, as with the other schools. But I think that guys said it well, that if you're a big name player and you go there, then the resources come, then they will come to you. So if you get these high profile guys to go there, then the TV deals come, then TV contracts come, and that's better for that school. That helps that school gets more notoriety, as long as they get more publicity as well. So I think that is great that players are thinking to go there. I went to one and I got my bachelor's and my master's there, and it couldn't have been better. And I would choose that 10 times over again. Um, so I think it's really big, and sometimes it gets pushed back what these schools are doing, because there's lots of great work and there's lots of people when it comes that's out here that's thriving, that have come from HBCUs, whether that's principals at schools, whether that's lawyers, whether that's people who are like publicists. There's people that you will see at BET, ESPN, Fox Sports, that went to HBCUs. So I don't think that it should be looked at or passed over. And there's players, in the league, whether it's football and basketball, that have went there as well. Not as many from these Power 5 conferences, but there are some that's there. And the more players, the more high-profile players, whether they're 5-star or 4-star recruits that go there, I believe that there will be more guys and women who follow them. So I think it's very important for them to do that, and that they should always do what's best for them. But if they have the chance to leave a legacy, then I think that they should definitely do that.
Yeah, so I think everything Mike said is spot on, but I would go even further. I played college football at the highest level, so the Division I level, and I went to a predominantly white institution. And I would say a lot of the reasons I chose my school was because I understood who came from my school, right? So I played at the Naval Academy, and there are a lot of, great people that have come from that school. And I use that because I think HBCUs could do a better job recruiting if they were able to highlight the people, the caliber of people that come from these schools, because I think that will attract that top talent to those schools. Also, we can't be afraid to recruit that top talent. I wasn't a 5-star athlete. I was a 3-star, right? But no, I didn't have a HBCU come talk to me. So I think that, we also have to go after those 5-star athletes, because if we don't recruit them, if we don't show them, hey, these are the people that come from your Morehouse, your Howard, you name it, right? If they don't see those people, then they won't even think about, hey, this is potentially something for me, a place for me to go. I think another thing is players have to understand that there always has to be a pioneer. Someone has to be the one that starts it out, right? So and everyone won't get the same benefits. We joke about it. You go back to your high school sometime, you're like, man, we didn't have that track. We didn't have that turf field. We didn't have this or that. But that's how it works. Someone has to start with less so that down the road others have more. And I think once athletes understand that, if I go to HBCU today, 10 years from now, the HBCU is going to be in a Power 5 conference, right? We're going to be paying the HBCUs because we need those athletes in the conferences that make all the money, right? So I think that is the philosophy and the mindset we have to kind of get into these young people, because they're 17, 18 years old making these decisions. So kind of you got to build the plan out. You got to let them see how their decision can make a difference long term. And I think that can help our HBCUs recruit better. But I definitely think the more athletes that go there, the better the better resources they'll have, because the resources do follow the players. I believe
Yeah.
that 100%. So
Yeah, I would definitely be excited. I would graduate from Morgan State University, so I'm
yeah,
one who would love to see HBCUs kind of take control and get some of our people back and do well. Before we get out of here, I've got to ask you guys for advice for people out there who would be interested in becoming a sports agent. What are some quick advice tidbits you could give them if they wanted to look into this field?
So what I would say is, if you have a chance to shadow from somebody that's within the field, that's something that you should do, whether it's a company or it's a person. That's something that would definitely help. And then I will also say to look at the back end of sports. So what I mean by that is look at the business side. So things you might see on your popular, TV channels and stations, that might not be it. So do like a little bit more research and a little bit more like digging. So read the CBA, because that's something that you would have to do to pass the test, as well as look at whether it's websites, whether it's certain blogs or media that cover the business side of sports, because they're going to let you know things that you may not know. So there's definitely lots of tools and resources that's there. You could search them out, whether it's so it's uh, so it's inside the league. There's also sports management worldwide. There's sports agent blog. Um, Trying to think of what else comes to mind. And I know there's a few others that I'm definitely forgetting. But if you could just find those things, like, just do some research, they will give you lots of gems, because they talk to former players, they talk to former agents as well. And those guys share stories, and they let you know what it means to be within this business, and then what it costs. Because this is a rough business. I would definitely say that it is not easy at all, but I think it's definitely doable as long as you stay with it and continue to battle. There's gonna be lots of no's, there's gonna be lots of setbacks, but as long as you stay with it, I think that you'll be successful. But just look to gain experience before jumping in. And if you could get that, I think that you'll definitely be fine. But either way, take the leap of faith, and, and I think that you should definitely go after it.
All right. Ryan, any last bit of advice?
yeah, and the one thing I would say is be humble, right? Because you're not going to know everything in this industry. There's a lot of information that's out there that you don't know. So be willing to ask the questions. Be willing to figure it out. Be willing to put in extra time to figure it out, because there's always an answer. It's just a matter of, are you willing to go figure it out? Where willing to go find it. And then I definitely think you have to consistently reflect and check how passionate you are about this, because it's not easy. There's a lot of time that's going to be put into it, more time than you even think. I mean, me and Mike, we talk every day, right? So
Yeah.
there's the amount of time you're going to put into this is going to be significant. So you have to be passionate about it. You can't be in it for the money, because if you're in it for the money, it's not going to last. It's not going to be sustainable. The players that you represent are going to know. The way you treat them is going to show. So you can't just be in this for the money. You need money to operate. You need money to take care of business, but you can't be in it for the money if you're going to take care of people. And that's what I would say. You got to be humble and be passionate.
So before we get out of here, can you let the people know where they can find you if they want to get in contact with you? Plug your social medias or any other channels that you would like them to follow.
Yeah, for me, so it's Agent Desane. So that's my last name. So it's Agent, and then it's my last name, Desane, Desane. That's for the gram and for Twitter. So you can follow me there. and there'll be lots of content. And we also have our business page, Divine Sports ENT, and that's on Gram and Twitter as well.
All right, Ryan.
Yep. And then for me, my Instagram is Enam Ryan. So spelled INAMRYAN. And then, like Mike said, you could always hit up Divine Sports ENT on Instagram as well and reach us there. So.
All right, gentlemen, I really appreciate y'all taking this time out. I know y'all have a busy schedule, especially, the season is literally looking at us in a few days. So I can imagine. So I really appreciate y'all taking the time out to come on here and just talk about your agency.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having us. So we definitely, it's our pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my conversation with Michael and Ryan. Make sure you give them a follow. I hope you really enjoyed it. Coming up next week, I have my good friend Patricia Barnes on the show as she discusses the Go Patty brand, being a motivational speaker and being called to do your purpose, as well as sharing her career journey as she is a nurse. We both started off in nutrition at Johns Hopkins. We both found our way up, I should say, but I'll leave it at that. Make sure you check out that episode. Also, make sure you check out some of the previous episodes that's aired. I just dropped the episode with Keisha Swafford. Last week, I had Joel Gamble and Tavon Mason. I also had my grandfather on last week as we discussed sports activism. Mike Patton, my good brother, was on a couple of weeks ago discussing what it's like to be Black in America. There was also my mentee, Jasmine Bunch, who talked about the things going on in the University of North Carolina as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And of course, I had my good friend Chanapa on recently as well, somebody who I used to work closely with at my current position. So make sure you check out those episodes. Give me a 5-star rating. Until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. Make sure you do not let anyone set up a ceiling that you can't break through. This podcast was recorded and edited by B. Waters Productions. The music by Hypno Beats. Make sure you follow him at Hypno_Beats with a Z on Instagram.